Hey, what's up everybody? It's Isaac from Alchemy here with another episode of the Devlog. This week I'm going to walk you through some really cool updates from the dev team, so stay tuned for those. But we just got back from PAX East over in Boston, where we had a great time. We had a booth. Shout out to our booth volunteers, Vide, Dawn, and Hunter. You all are amazing. You made our booth way cooler than it would have been otherwise, and did a great job helping everybody who came by, letting people know the good word of alchemy. And of course, shout out to the alchemy folks who were there, Dakota, Asher, and Chris. You guys are awesome as well. Yeah, we had a great time. If we saw you there, that's rad. If not, we'll catch you at another con. We go to a lot of them, and it's always a good time. Anyway, in this episode, we have some really exciting new stuff to go through, including some tactical mode updates. We've got resizable, scalable, and repositionable battle maps now. I'll show you how that works in a few minutes. We've got some new creator pages in the marketplace, a little bit of better organization there. And we've got some really big updates to our character import and export processes, getting some new data to go in and out of there so you can get your characters created from wherever they came from. All right, let's dive in. First up, let's take a look at the new map scaling features. I'm going to head into this new Devlog 7 game where I have set up a couple of demo maps. First up, we've got one from Tom Cardos's Into the Wilds Dungeons and Crypts pack. You can find this one on our marketplace. And we've got this nice portal room here that we will use as a playground for this. I'm actually going to switch over to its night phase because this one's a little bit cooler. All right, let's add a couple of NPCs here. Let's get something big, like a dragon. Adult black dragon, sure. And let's get something medium, a lich, of course. And something spooky and small, like a bat. Okay, all three of those are queued up. Let's get those added into this scene. And let's add their tokens. So we've got the dragon down, we've got the lich down, and we've got the bat down. And let's also make those visible so they show up nice and bold. Okay, now let's move them around a little bit. We'll put the dragon over here by the portal, we'll put the bat flapping around over here, and then we'll put the lich down right there. Okay, this map is pretty much set already in terms of sizing. These tokens fit pretty nicely. I think we could probably increase the scale ever so slightly to make them fit. But the grid alignment isn't wonderful, so let's dial that in. In tactical mode, inside the toolbar over here, there's a new map scale button. And you can click on this to adjust the scale of the map using this slider. Any value between 10% of the original scale and 200% of the original scale is available. So I'll zoom out here using my mouse wheel to show you kind of how this behaves. We'll realign this to be kind of more centered as well. Okay, so in map scaling mode, I'll zoom out to 10% and notice that the tokens are staying put, as is the grid, if you can see that. It's a little bit faint at this zoom level. But the map changes scale and the tokens stay the same size. So we can go all the way up to 200%, which looks like it would be about 10-foot squares, or all the way down to 10%, which is just silly. Okay, so that is how the scale slider works. Let's get back in there. I'll use my mouse wheel to zoom in without changing the scale and take a close look at this lich, for example. Okay, so we want this token to be fitting in there a little bit more nicely. It looks like it's about right. Let's see how that fits with the grid squares. So clicking and dragging on the map while in map scaling mode is going to change the position of the map without changing the position of the tokens or the grid itself. So we can get that to line up pretty nicely. I think we need to zoom out slightly and then adjust this a little bit more. There. That looks about perfect. Okay, so now I want to commit those changes. I'm going to click the X to exit map scaling mode, and now when I click and drag on the map, it does the normal thing. Pans around in the world, you can move tokens again. We can see how our lich fits in that 5-foot square, which is beautifully, and the alchemy grid is nicely aligned with the grid now. Of course, our grid is hard to see right now, but that's coming up next. This also works for animated maps, so I'll switch over to this Shadow Fortress from Cheipeku and go into tactical mode for it. And you can use the map scale just as easily here to change the scale of this animated map all the way down to a tiny little guy up to very big, which is, I think, quite fun for this map. Making this bridge over the creepy crawly into something more like 30 or 40 feet across, which gives this map a little bit more of an epic feel. It already has a pretty epic feel, but it's even more epic now. So I think the important things to note about this feature is that your changes to the map position and scale are per phase. So if you have multiple phases of the same map, you'll need to make those changes to all of them. I know that's probably going to get a little bit fiddly, but I think we'll make some improvements to that as we keep moving along with map features. And then make sure you don't trap yourself in scale mode, because when you click and drag the map, it's going to move the map itself and not tokens or the grid. So that's another one that this notification can help kind of guide you away from that trap. Let us know what you think about this, and if you have any feedback on it, we'd love to hear it. Next up, let's take a look at some new organization in the marketplace. I'm going to leave that game and head over to our marketplace. So up here at the top, you'll notice there's a new bar of featured creators. We've got Cheipeku, Hitpoint, Griffin's Saddlebag, Free League, and Nord Games up here on our featured bar. Clicking in on one of these is going to show you all of the titles that are for sale by this creator, as well as some information about that creator. So you can kind of explore the marketplace in a new way. You can also go down into each of these rows in here, and clicking on the name of a creator in this row will bring up their details as well. So we can see all of the Free League information here and click through to purchase those items whenever you want to. That just about rounds out our marketplace features. I think the only other thing we may add as we start to grow into the new marketplace is a way to search or filter and see all of the things that we've got going on there, but no ETA on that. Stay tuned for more marketplace fun in the future. Let's talk about character import and export. This is an Alchemy Unlimited feature that lets you take any character from your library or from a game that you're the GM of and export it as a JSON file, a special type of file that contains all of their data. And you can use that file to re-import them at your leisure into your own character library or into a universe as a pre-made character. You can also use this process to import and export non-player characters as well. So let's take a look at how this works. We'll take a look at this wizard that I have from a previous game. And the new things in the character import and export process are trackers. So a few weeks ago, we changed the way that HP and XP work in 5th edition games to bring custom trackers from custom games into 5th edition. And now HP and XP are these primary and secondary trackers rather than being special fields on the character sheet itself. So if you don't play a game with XP, you can actually change the secondary tracker, or the primary tracker here, from XP to anything else that you want to track, like key points or sorcery points or whatever you like to have for your character. But until today, these values were not being imported and exported in that process. So characters imported on D&D Beyond, for example, may not have had their HP added correctly. In fact, the D&D Beyond update process still needs to be updated with the changes for this, but that'll be done soon. In fact, I might just go do that after this. Okay, so that's one piece that's new in the import and export process is trackers. And the other bit is over in equipment, you can have items with attack actions, like this short sword. I know that it has an attack action because it has an equip pip over here that I can use to indicate whether or not that item is equipped, which I know is a signal that it has some actions on it. So it looks like this short sword item already has a slash attack action. Let's take a look at the details of that. It's got +4 to hit, and it deals 1d6 damage of slashing type with the dexterity ability modifier added to that attack roll. So we've got a nice action all set up for that already. So here's what I'll do to export this character. From the character library, I simply click on the three dots and click on the Export JSON button, and that's going to download a JSON file to your computer, your downloads directory, and you can then open that up to take a look at the details if you're interested in such a thing. Okay, here it is. It's pretty human readable. JSON's not a particularly gnarly format to look at, so if you take a look at it, you should be able to glean what information it contains quite easily. But the important bits here are we have this new items with actions array, which has all the items for that character plus the actions that are associated with it. Like here's our short sword item, and here's that action that we wanted alongside it. And we also have our trackers down here at the bottom of the file. Here they are. We have our trackers, the yellow XP and the green HP bars, as well as our fancy tracker that only shows in the trackers panel is in there as well. So now that I have that out, I can click up here and choose Import JSON and pick that file, and it will import that character for me just like that. And notice it's different from that one because it doesn't have the Descent into Avernus game on it. And if I click in, I should see on the Trackers tab, the XP and HP trackers all imported correctly, as well as this fancy tracker, which is quite fancy indeed. And over on the Equipment tab, we have our short sword up here with that equip bubble, which indicates to me that it has an action on it, which indeed it does. And this looks like the same stuff we had over there, so it's working. Good. So yeah, import and export is a feature for Unlimited subscribers only, and it's mostly used for developers to move data from one program to another. So for example, it powers our D&D Beyond import process, but you could set up tooling to take characters out of Foundry, for example, or anywhere you wanted, and feed those into Alchemy. You could also get your characters out of Alchemy and feed those into another program as well. We haven't done any work to make that export process feed into anything else, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility for a developer to take that and run with it. So again, this is for Alchemy Unlimited users only. Shout out to all of you. You're awesome. Thank you for the support. And all of this feeds into some open source repositories that we have on our GitHub. So if you're a developer and you're interested in doing anything with this, have a look at the D&D Beyond import that we have on our GitHub. I'll put a link to that below. Yeah, that's that. In addition to those cool new things, we've also got some great bug fixes and performance improvements out there in the wild, and we're working on more of those to keep Alchemy running as smoothly as we can for you. Just as a reminder, you can always see our latest release notes here in the What's New screen. They're also posted on our Discord. You can find a link to that here as well. That's typically the first place where they land, only by a few minutes, and that's only because we have a script that does that. But yeah, you can always view what's new, all the nice little fixes here every week when we post these notes on Fridays. Let's talk about what's next. So in the same What's New screen, there's a tab for the roadmap. You can always check this. We keep it up to date just about every week when we release a new feature or a new version of Alchemy. We come in here and make changes to synchronize this with what we released and what we have coming up next. So this is a great place to go if you ever want to see what's on the roadmap and keep up to date with those things. So as you can see here, we're working on some great UX improvements. We've got right-click, drag and drop reordering of most things and keyboard shortcuts coming up soon. We've got a few more things to do for tactical mode here, like snap to grid and fog of war, or obscuring parts of the map. And we've got an integrated knowledge base coming soon. There's been a ton of work on that I think is going to be amazing when we have that all ready to rock. We also have video chat. That's been in beta for founders for a few weeks now, and it seems like it's been working really well. We just have some user experience things that we want to polish up on that before we make it generally available. And we also want to make sure that the pricing makes sense on that. It costs us kind of a lot of money to run that video chat stuff. And we have some really, really welcome improvements to the journal coming soon, like persisted messages that will load when you rejoin your game, the ability to send images into the journal. That actually might have just shipped a few minutes ago, so you might have that now. And the ability to send things into the journal. So you have a short sword item and you want to send that into the journal, click a button to make that show up. We also have some improvements to playing NPCs that we haven't started on yet, multi-track audio, some stuff to explore there, and we have a lot of big ideas for spectator mode. We want to make that a really cool way to experience Alchemy as someone who just likes to tune into games and watch what's going on. So stay tuned for more of that stuff, but on the immediate future is those journal updates. We've got tactical mode updates, and we've got video chat that'll be worked on in the next little bit. So keep your eyes peeled for that good stuff. Okay, Q&A this week. One of the questions that came in was actually about map scaling. So I think I hopefully answered that pretty well when I went through how that feature works. That question was asked obviously before the feature was launched. But what else do we have here? We've got custom game turn order. Iosu sent in another question. When will turn order be implemented in custom games, and will it be possible to change the order of combat participants? It looks like the official answer here is soon, TM, but really this is probably next up because I just did some work on fixing bugs in our initiative tracker for 5e, and since I have all that context loaded in my dome right now, it's a pretty advantageous time to give this a little bit of love. So I think I might actually try to fit this into our schedule in this upcoming week and get turn order for custom games implemented before the next devlog episode. That'll be episode 8. No promises, but I will check in with you in the next episode and either tell you it's here or it's coming later. So that's where we're at on that. I think we have the design pretty much sorted out for that, and we know what we need to do and want to do there, so it should come together pretty quickly. Okay, let's wrap this episode up with some talk about our upcoming Kickstarter. We are hurtling towards our version 1 milestone, and to celebrate that, we have a Kickstarter that we're launching in April to celebrate and share some really cool content. So if you haven't already, go to that Kickstarter page and save it so that you get notified when it launches. You can click this button in the Alchemy app itself if you'd like to, and click that save button here. You can also find the link to this below in the description. We haven't announced the exact date yet, but it's going to be in April. And, well, you can actually find the exact date over on our friend Ted from Nerd Immersion on his YouTube channel. He's got an interview that's going to be coming up very soon, and the date is actually going to be announced in that video. So head on over to Nerd Immersion and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to. Stay tuned for Ted's latest update there. Ted's awesome. His channel's awesome, so I highly recommend heading over there to get his content and hit that subscribe button. Speaking of subscribe buttons, we've come to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed it, please head down below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get notified about our future updates, and feed the YouTube algorithm. Get these videos out there to more people. If you're new to Alchemy, that's awesome. Head down below for some handy-dandy links in the description where you can sign up for a free account today, find out more information, join our Discord, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Let's go play some games.